Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bristol Township Zoning Hearing Board. We'll get started with stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remove your hats, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, just let me introduce a few people before we get started. To my left, sitting to my left, is our solicitor, Ken Fetterman. We also have with us Director of L&I, Bob McTeague. We also have with us Planning Supervisor, Bo Fleming, and our stenographer is Cindy Oliveira. Mr. Secretary, could you please call the board, please?
Sure. Andy Grillo. Here. Mark DeMarcus. Here. Jim McMahon.
Here.
Gerard Lycon. Here. Ed Murphy. Here.
Okay, little piece of business before we get started with the agenda. Our solicitor had received a couple correspondence from D.R. Horton Incorporated, 2040 A Bridge Road, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, asking for a continuance till September. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make that motion for that.
I'll second.
Call the board, please.
Andy Grillo.
Yes.
Jim McMahon.
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus.
Yes.
Gerard Lycon.
Yes.
Ed Murphy. Yes.
Okay, let's get started. Matt Broder, Munns Construction, 201 Buck Road, Holland, PA. Please come on up.
All right, and it's actually Colin Craig from Munns Construction. Matt was just, he works for us and submitted the paperwork.
Okay. You have your mailings and your postings?
I do.
You bring them up? Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Spell your name, please.
Colin, C-O-L-I-N, Craig, C-R-A-I-G-E.
Thank you.
Okay, we're good on the postings and mailings.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Ken.
I'm sorry, we're good on the postings and mailings.
Okay, you can proceed.
Sure. So I'm representing the Dorellis. They are looking to build a deck off the back of their yard. We're seeking relief for the rear yard setback and also impervious. So if you'd like to start with the setback, you can see page A1 on the plan that we provided to you. So their existing rear yard setback is 25 feet on their property. And we're looking for, to extend that 5 feet to a 20-yard setback. So if you look at the plan, you know, their existing building envelope really doesn't, it's pretty restrictive to allow them to build anything off the back of their home. So that is why we're seeking this relief. And as far as the left side setback, you can see their home is already existing, non-conforming, and we don't plan to go any further past that existing line on the left side of the home. So that would be the two setback issues that we're seeking relief from.
Anybody have any questions on the setback? Okay.
Sure. So for the impervious, you can see they're actually already existing non-conforming on that as well. So in reality, we are asking for an additional 2% of impervious surface to be covered. So I did have a question for the board. The homeowner did have some water issues in the past, a couple years ago, and has since done a underwater drainage system that you can see on, it's not detailed, but on page S1, it does show existing drain behind the rear back door. That drains away to the back of their property and, you know, was professionally done. So I was curious if that was sufficient in the board's eyes for water remediation, and then if not, I do have a proposed dry well to present, but.
Bob, can you answer that for him, please?
Yeah, that would have to be submitted by plan and reviewed by the township engineer for an answer.
Okay.
So you have to apply for the permit for that, and then you can get a formal answer on that.
Sure. Would that require a continuance on this, or would that be like in contingency too?
Are you saying if you got a permit for this, you think you would be under the impervious with the stormwater management?
Yes, if it was approved by you that it was sufficient, would it be, basically, this would be passed pending that? Or, I'm just curious to relay to the homeowner.
You could continue it and see if the engineer would agree to that being suffice.
Okay,
It's totally up to you. Yeah.
okay. How about, if it's all right with the board, I'll propose, we do have a drywall plan here in order to accommodate the additional impervious. And then I can talk to the homeowner about that. Is that okay? Okay. So we're going to enter this to the board real quick. So this is a calculation sheet we've acquired from another township, but I mean, it's just for calculation purposes. We use it frequently for these meetings. So if you see, like I mentioned before, their existing impervious is right about 35%, and the proposed being at the 37.4. So we are proposing to do a 3-foot, or I'm sorry, we need to make up 32 cubic feet of runoff. So we're proposing a 3-foot by 3-foot wide trench by 9-foot long. And if you see at the bottom of the calculation sheet, that covers the exact 32 cubic feet required.
Right, but the board can't opine on that in any way. So whatever impervious surface you're asking for a variance for, they can grant it or not. Stormwater runoff is not something the board deals with.
Okay.
So it's township engineer. So the question is this land development or not land development? And if it is, you have to submit the appropriate land development package, but it wouldn't be to the board.
I'm sorry, Ken, it wouldn't be a land development application, it would just be a simple permit that the township engineer would review. But like Ken said, they won't give you an answer on that today. It has to be submitted formally, and the township engineer would review it.
Okay, just typically in these meetings, just other townships, when we're over impervious, I've just been told to have information as far to bring that impervious back down to the suitable level, so.
Yeah, I don't think you can get a permit unless you're addressing the stormwater runoff issue. And that is where I think Mr. McTagg is coming from.
Right,
In
and
other words,
so,
we can grant board can grant the variances, but we can't opine on whether or not what you're proposing is going to be sufficient to deal with the additional impervious surface.
understood.
It's nice that you're mentioning it, though.
Sure, so I guess for the sake of this meeting, we intend to do everything we can as far as impervious to build this deck for them.
Subject to, yep. So basically, you're agreeable if the board approves a variance, you'll do whatever you have to do with the township in order to make sure that you're meeting the requirements for stormwater runoff. correct?
Exactly, yep,
So if we make that a condition of the approval, you're okay with it?
correct.
Okay.
I just want to make it clear that if you do get the variance for the impervious calculation, you won't have to do any additional stormwater runoff work because your variance will be granted.
Okay, even better.
I don't know if I agree with that.
All right, so that throws sort of a monkey wrench in the whole thing.
He's here for a variance for the impervious surface
Right.
being over 2%.
Yeah, I think that's the way you have to look at it. I mean,
In the grand scheme of things, 2% is not that big of a deal. Right. Okay,
it's 2 additional percent.
right. Okay. Is that, you done with your presentation?
That's it.
Okay. Any questions from the board on the impervious surface, the setback, anything related to this application? Okay, anybody from the audience like to come up for or against this project? See none? Okay. So I need a motion. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to pass it.
Mr. Secretary, call the board, please.
Andy Guerrilla,
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus,
Yes.
Jim McMahon,
Yes.
Gerard Lycon. Yes. Ed Murphy, yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on the agenda, Samantha Prescott, 137 Idlewood Road, Levittown, PA. Please come on up.
Raise your right hand, please. Yes. Do you
You have your mail-ins and proof of posting?
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're good. Good on that.
Well, good evening. As a first-time homeowner, I thank you for allowing me to speak and explain my position in this nightmarish situation. It should be all the way at the bottom. Yeah, it was Samantha Prescott, zoning PowerPoint, yes. All right. So, again, like I said, thank you for letting me speak. When we met with the contractor in regards to expanding our driveway, he had assured that everything would be taken care of, including securing the appropriate permits for work. However, come to our surprise, when we received permit paperwork from the township, I immediately called the contractor to inquire why I received the paperwork if he had completed it. He had said we had nothing to worry about and everything would be okay. He completed the paperwork twice, and both of the times it was denied. So at that point, the Bristol Township officers came out and redid the permit paperwork. And so we're ultimately asking for a variance due to not being aware that the contractor never secured the proper paperwork or permits, even though we were under the assumption that he did. He is licensed by Bristol Township and has a 4.3 business rating review. So when he said not to worry, we had taken that as he had secured the paperwork. Next slide, please. So that is the paperwork that we submitted. As you can see, the date on it is the exact same date that the contractors from Bristol Township came out to do the paperwork. As soon as they left, I immediately came into the office to file this zoning paperwork. Next slide, please. And as you can see, on the right-hand side is the plot plan. Again, I got the paperwork completed immediately as soon as we were told that we needed to come above the board. Next slide, please. So as you can see, on the left-hand side is the first paperwork that the contractor completed. It was ultimately denied. The one on the right is when he refixed it. He had said, oh, I messed up, let me refix it. So as you can see, it does vary. And on the next slide is ultimately the township's paperwork, which again, you can see is vastly different from what the contractor had submitted. Next slide, please. So ultimately, that's what we did for the driveway. On the left-hand side was the driveway before, and on the right-hand side, we had just extended it to the property line. Next slide, please. We also posted the zoning appeal board signs on our front window and also in the front yard, so people were notified as well. Next slide. Again, that's the paperwork completed by the neighbors. Immediately, once we got notified that the paperwork came in, our neighbors signed it. So as you can see, I am taking this matter extremely serious and just trying to find a solution to get rid of this stressful situation that I have been put under by the contractor. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, I was told that it's ultimately the homeowner's responsibility instead of the contractor who is licensed through Bristol Township. So as a first-time home buyer and homeowner, this is extremely confusing because when a contractor who, again, is licensed says, don't worry, we'll take care of it, it's kind of a sense of relief that you do ultimately trust them to do the right thing. Also, when Bristol Township officers came out, they had said this is very kind of common for contractors to either take money and say that they're getting permits or ultimately never get the permits. So this situation, again, has been very traumatic and stressful, and I look for guidance as to how to prevent further misunderstandings going forward and how we can I guess, ultimately hold the contractor responsible. Since they're the ones doing the work, they should ultimately know the procedures put in place.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Prescott?
What are you asking for?
Exactly.
The relief, what do you want?
So the variance for the driveway being extended.
Right, well, what percentage, with the extension, what is the percentage of impervious surface you're looking for?
So when she handed in a permit, we checked an aerial and seen that something was going on in the backyard. So we did a site visit, and when we seen it, I would say about 80% of the backyard is covered with E.P. Henry blocks with the pool, and then there's a small deck, from what I remember. So she's at right around 60%, and she's about 40 in that
Which, again, when he told me that, I was shocked again because that contractor, again, never got the proper paperwork. So it's just like, as a homeowner, we're just getting hit left and right with all this responsibility and unknown stress that we didn't even know.
Okay, but the question is, you're allowed 40%, you're looking to be approved for 60% with the driveway extension? Is that the variance you're looking for?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay, that's all, we need that information for
As
the,
the property sits now, she's at 60%.
okay, got it.
Yeah, I think it's like 59, yeah, percent, yeah.
So, Ms. Prescott?
Yeah.
How did you come to find out that they were licensed through Bristol Township, these contracts?
So when we did the permit paperwork, I had called him and he wrote down his Bristol Township ID number.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
The E.P. Henry work and all the other paving work in the back, was that there before you bought the house? Or did you also do all
No,
that?
so that was there, when we first moved in, we got that done. And then we had followed up with that contractor regarding like additional work that we just wanted in the front of the house, but they never got back to us. They completely stopped answering phone calls.
So the first contractor did the same thing to you as the second contractor?
Right, which is why ultimately it puts us in a horrible position because as the homeowner, everything ultimately falls on us when none of these contractors are being held responsible. So it's just a very tough situation.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody from the audience like to come up? All right. I need a motion from the board. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion for this.
I'll second.
Okay. Call the board.
Andy Gorilla,
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus,
Yes.
Jim McMahon,
No.
Gerard Lycon,
Yes.
Ed Murphy, yes.
All right. You're good.
Thank you so
Don't pay your
much.
contractor until you see the permit.
Oh, seriously? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Do your due diligence and do not, you gotta check. Everybody out there, you need a permit for everything. Everything. All right, who's up next? Let's see. George Brooks III. Saxony Drive, Fairless Hills, PA.
Correct.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Is the green light on there? On the mic is the green light?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can probably pull it up a little bit. Thank you.
So,
And I'm sorry, you are George?
I am George.
Thank you.
George, you have the mail-ins and posting?
Excuse me? Yes.
Just hand them up, thank you. Was the property posted?
Yes, it's on the front windows. That's the same picture. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
You wouldn't have,
I'm gonna-
okay, good, you saw it, good enough. Fine, all right. Wonderful. Let's go. We can go forward.
So I wanted to build a porch in the front of the house. We had the house since I was 12, same owner. My mom and dad bought it, no, mom passed. So I got it last year, and I've been slowly fixing the house up. And it's a nice corner lot. I just wanted to spruce it up a little bit. I put new roof on, new fence. Just trying to make it presentable. And it'd be nice with that corner lot to have that nice porch on the front. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I know I'm over the setback line. So here I am.
How much over?
How much over were we? 10 foot. I believe it's 25. I was at 15.
No possibility to do it without the gazebo?
I'm trying. I was going for that look because it's a nice corner lot. I thought it would, it would set that corner off. I have nobody on the one side of me is Queen Anne Drive. I'm right on the corner where that gazebo's going. So I was trying to get that look, nice look. I'm planning on putting, if I'm allowed to do it, I'm gonna put a nice black metal roof on because that's part of what I've done my whole life. Like a standing seam black metal roof. I think it would look beautiful out there, and make my house look very nice.
Listen, I understand, it's just a question. Anybody else have any questions? Are you done with your presentation? Are you done with your presentation?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, anybody else have any questions? Anybody from the audience? Bob, anything to add?
No, sir.
No? Sure. All right. Okay, I need to, motion, what's the motion? I need a second.
I'll second.
Call the board.
Andy Guerrilla,
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus,
Yes.
Jim McMahon,
Sure. Yes.
Gerard Lycon,
Yes.
Ed Murphy, yes.
There you go.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Okay. Luz Carranza, 38 Bloom Tree Road, Levittown, PA. Please come on up.
Raise your right hand. We solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
I do.
Can you make sure the green light's on and pull the mic down?
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Do you have your mail-ins and posting? Great, bring them up.
You are Ruth's brother.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, these are in order, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, you can start.
I'm interested in applying for a variance for to build a deck for my home. We currently have a pool in the back. It's a 20-foot setback requirement to build a deck. And we're looking for to build it 15 feet, so a 5-foot difference. My son has autism, so the reason why we're building this pool is so that when he is trying to access the pool, he's not flapping and being a little bit uncontrollable trying to get in the pool. So that was the whole purpose of building the pool and the deck.
This is what you're going with?
That's what it's gonna look like. No, that's just a sample picture. It's not the backyard. I believe the backyard picture is where it's just a pool.
Is there a fence around your yard?
Yes, 6 foot.
Anybody else, anybody have any questions?
Go ahead.
You are gonna build this style deck, right?
The style deck, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you.
When you said sample, I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
Well, it's not my backyard, it's just a
yeah,
picture
it's a-
of
yeah,
the
rendering.
plans.
It's a rendering of the picture.
Yeah.
So an exact deck, that's like, like, it's gonna be identical to this picture.
It's gonna have,
95%, closest possible.
it's gonna have, instead of the, there's wiring, we thought that was too dangerous for him, we're going to have the, help me, the vine railing.
Anybody else have any questions? Bob, anything to add? Anybody from the audience for or against this project? All right, I need a motion from the board, please.
Make motion, pass it.
Call the board.
Andy Grillo,
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus. Yes. Gerard Lycon,
Yes.
Jim McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Murphy, yes. Good luck.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I got that one.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.